Hello. Hi. Happy New Year. Our first, it's not even New Year for us. It's New Year for them, probably.
Yeah.
It's December 26th, the day after Christmas, and we're in a red car in a green forest. So, yay.
It's a sleigh, sort of.
It's a sleigh. It's a sleigh. It's the Subaru WRX TR. TR stands for?
They say track ready. They
I thought
used
it
to
was
say
tuner ready. Yeah.
Depends on who you ask, I think.
It
I've read
stands
both.
for we already own this copyright,
Yeah.
so let's just throw it on the car. But I will say that the car gets some things that people complained that the car didn't have.
Well, because the old TR had nothing.
Right.
It was like a base car with two things.
Yeah.
This has almost everything they offer.
Right.
With the exception of like the CVT and some shocks. We'll get
Right.
to that.
It's got the Recaro seats.
Which are great.
That one's power. This one's not. It's got Brembo brakes. 6-piston front, 2-piston rear.
Big brakes.
13.5 inches.
Yeah.
The 13.5-inch brake in the front, that is the same diameter rotor of the aftermarket brakes I put on my C5 Corvette.
Whoa.
So that's how far brakes have come.
They've come a while. And they also changed out the master cylinder. So
Yes.
it's a bigger master cylinder as well.
But all WRXs get that.
Oh.
The brakes were not good. In the regular, in the 2023 Road and Track Performance Car of the Year, the WRX was straight up bad on the racetrack, and the Subaru people did 4 sets of brake pads in 2 days. Like that.
Jeez.
Yeah. Like imagine going through that many brake pads and not being good at braking.
That's not good.
It's not good.
No.
So this has all new brakes. So that's important. It also has 5% stiffer springs, which you can feel. It then has retuned dampers. It has
Retuned steering system.
Yeah, that one's important too. And you can tell. The steering, even though it's been a year since I've driven that other car, the steering feels noticeably sharper. And 19-inch wheels, Bridgestone UHP summer tires.
Sticky tires. Same ones they gave you on the Ferrari F12, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very important. Let's go and we'll talk about the rest on the road. 6-speed manual gearbox still. 2.4 liter, 271 horsepower.
258 Torques.
Yeah.
From 2,000 to 5,000 RPM.
This thing is like, it revs, I mean, it's kind of like it's trucky. I mean, in terms of, it's got peak torque down low at 2. It's got peak power at 5,600, which sounds almost, it's not quite diesel, but it sounds like a truck V8 or something. Guys, today's video is brought to you by Keeps, and you know what it is. You know what it is, and I'm telling you, you gotta keep the hair you have while you can. Or your other option, shave it all off like me, you're bald forever. Trust me, once you do this, that's a life commitment. There is no going back. So you gotta call Keeps. Get expert care for hair loss from the comfort of your home without visiting a doctor's office or a pharmacy. Keeps offers both of the FDA-approved hair loss treatment options, as well as a 2-in-1 gel combining both treatments. According to clinical studies, treatments offered by Keeps are 90% effective at treating hair loss and can increase hair growth by up to 35%. All treatment plans are personalized to address your unique needs and recommended by a licensed medical provider. Then the treatment is delivered right to your door on your schedule, quarterly or every 6 months or once a year in discreet packaging. No one's gotta know, kids. And as part of your Keeps treatment plan, you can message your medical provider or the Keeps care team at any time via their secure messaging portal. So stop hair loss with Keeps. For a special offer to get started, go to keeps.com/smokingtire. Hit the link in the video description. That's KEEPS.com/smokingtire today. And thank you to Keeps for sponsoring today's video.
Yeah, the power band is not, it's weird. And the low red line, 6,000, that's like old Corvette red line.
I feel like the low red line and the positioning of the tack, the orientation, where 0 is at the 9 o'clock position on the tack. The idle is at around the 10 o'clock position, and then red line is at around the 3 o'clock position. That somehow accentuates to me visually
that there's not a lot of revs to work with.
Well, yeah, from where I'm sitting, and I like my seating position, but I can only see the tach from about 3,800 to 6. So there's this no man's land where the tach is somewhere, and I'm not sure where it is, and then it appears. However, steering is pretty nice for an EPS system. I mean, it's not Porsche good, but I'd say like the feel is good. They worked on that a lot, and the handling on this road that's relatively flat is pretty good. It feels like it's agile enough, it stays flat enough, but without feeling too artificial. But on the way in, we're on a really bumpy road.
Yeah.
And the thing kind of pogoed a lot.
It's a trade-off, right? So in order to get improved, track performance and sharper handling and all that kind of stuff, it has made it possibly a worse street car, a worse daily driver. It is stiff. The sharpened steering means it's a little darty on the highway, and you have to pay a little more attention. It moves around a little more. The 19-inch wheels also accentuate that. And I've heard reports, although I haven't sat back there, that the back seat is pretty brutal in terms of how bumpy it is back there.
I was back there on the way up here today, and it didn't feel terrible, but also the 405 is so bad.
Yeah.
It's hard to judge cars just like their highway ride on that highway alone.
Unless they do it well. If they ride
True.
well on that highway, then they can ride well pretty much anywhere else.
Then it's exceptional. But I think the trade-off is good because, the springs are a little bit stiffer, but I don't think they're too stiff. I didn't find it to be strange or unmanageable around town, or like it was, jouncing around too much.
No, but it's firm. I mean, it's firm. It's probably on the same level of firmness as GR Corolla.
Which is very important, and we'll get to that comparison more toward the end of the video.
Yeah.
Because they are basically direct competitors at this price point. The engine has so little drama to it.
Yeah.
The power band, you can't even really feel the turbo come on or go off. It's just there. I don't know. And the lack of exhaust note, this thing has 4 exhaust pipes in the back, but it's really quiet. And there's just, like we're waiting, we're at 4, we're at 5, there's just very little drama or, felt acceleration. It's kind of disappointing.
What other car do you know of that has more exhaust pipe for less exhaust sound?
Ooh, the ratio?
Yeah, the ratio is pretty... I don't know of anything with 4 pipes that is quieter than this. Maybe Bentley V8S sometimes, but only in like quiet mode.
Well, because the Bentley, the V12s had 2 exhaust tips.
Yes.
Those were very quiet.
Yeah, the V8 gets the quad, so it goes the other way.
You know what? I'll say Camry V6. Those have the 4 exhaust tips.
Yeah.
And that is a pretty mild sound.
Yeah.
They're just adding more STI appearance to this. But unfortunately, I also don't like the cladding, which they've taken from the Outback and all the other cars. And I know it's a Subaru staple now, but I think this car is a good shape, and I think it'd be a much better looking car if you had painted components instead of these the plastic cladding.
Well, the Outbackification of the entire lineup is nearly complete. There is no more Impreza.
Yeah.
There is no more Legacy. There are only Outback, Crosstrek, and WRX now. So, and you can even get the Outback,
right?
The Wilderness.
And I've bought into the idea that the cladding helps those cars because you off-road it, you scrape them, and you can replace them or whatever.
Yeah.
But on this is a street car.
Yes,
that's what this is. You can say it's a rally car, but it's a street car.
Well, I
for
think they're trying to force maturity, right? They don't want flat bill vape bro anymore. They want someone who just wants dynamics on the way to being to eating granola on the trail, with their Aussie Shepherd and their North Face.
It's the GTI approach to marketing.
Yes.
Okay.
Our audience is growing up.
Which we are. I mean, I had a Subaru 20 years ago, and I'm sitting in one today.
All right. Now, you mentioned before that you didn't like the lack of clutch feel.
That's true. It's something I almost never ever complain about, but in this it is totally absent, and I stalled the thing twice while waiting for the feel to arrive.
So I don't necessarily feel the same lack of clutch feel. I mean, it is very light and there isn't a lot of feel. I'm saying I don't really care because it's not hard, and the trade-off is like in traffic and stuff, I don't get like tired from driving stick. If I had to drive stick in traffic with this being my only car, I wouldn't be super annoyed. I will say that the quality of this shifter does a disservice to manuals. I don't think this is a very good shifter. I think one of the things that Subaru could have and maybe should have done with the TR is improve the quality of the shifter. I think it's fine when you're puttering around town, but the faster you go, the less confidence I have in it. And I don't love that.
See, I didn't mind it as much. I thought it didn't have much play when you're in the gear, which is good. There's just a little bit of crunchiness as you move from gear to gear.
Yeah.
So you do have to pay a little bit more attention. And I agree with you. I wish they put more money into it, because 78% of WRX buyers last year chose manual over CVT.
Wow.
Which, good on you, first of all,
But
WRX
like
buyers.
lean into that.
Right,
you know?
so if that's your market, everyone else is saving money on the manuals because the take rate's low. But if your take rate's high, try to make it the best one you
make
can.
It good. Let's see how the turning radius is. Symmetrical all-wheel drive, not really impacting so much. Oh, the
Pretty
water
good.
level in the reservoir is good.
Ooh, yeah.
So,
Let's-
yeah, you really... I run out of gear. Like, I wish I had 500 more RPMs.
Yeah, I wish that maybe the power band was moved up a bit. It feels like they've moved it down, which is very usable for people. But unless you're accelerating from like 2,000 to 4,800 and you feel the turbo come on, once it's on, it's only 12 PSI, which is low.
Yeah.
They're probably saving headroom for something else, but you just don't feel turbo surge. If you told me that this car was NA and I never dropped below $2,000, I'd believe you.
Yeah.
And it's relatively quick. 0 to 60 is like 5.5 seconds.
Yeah.
The numbers are decent. There's just a lack of
CVT is a little
experience.
quicker to 60, but the manual's actually a little quicker in the quarter.
It's like
according to Car and
13.9, I
Driver.
think.
Yeah. But the way at which it accelerates is very undramatic. Either from the power band or the grip from the all-wheel drive, it definitely has more chassis than engine.
True.
Yeah, it's got a lot of grip.
It's got a lot of
It
chassis.
does have a lot of grip, and the retuned steering is quite sharp. And even though I said the WRX was bad on the track before, the one thing it did really, really well, better than almost any of the other cars there, was the ability to find the limit and then make adjustments throughout the corner once you were there. It had a real forgiveness about it at that very specific task that was better than some of the other cars that were sharper and more responsive. Oh, thank you, pup. Hello, pup and owner. We appreciate that politeness. Oh, here we go, Forest Service. Getting out there. But yeah, the acceleration is effective but not dramatic, and the short red line where you have to get through the gears quicker because you're running at revs, it does take away some of that excitement,
Yeah, and when I had a 2006 STI and it felt muted until you put on a downpipe and a tune and stuff. And so Subaru probably knows that the people that want to add more to their car, like figuratively and literally, will just go to the aftermarket, they'll put stuff on, and they'll get that feeling. But there are other cars, I think the GR Corolla does this, and I think the Golf R, like Elantra N, like you feel that acceleration through all of those cars much better. There's much more drama to the entire driving experience.
Yeah.
This only has drama when you're cornering, which it does very well.
Yeah. It's particularly undramatic in other ways.
Yeah. We should talk about the giant tablet because it's gigantic.
It is. And first, some good things about it. You can display your CarPlay screen while also having the Sirius XM or other information and your climate control on screen. You don't need to go away from the nav to do those other major settings.
That is
so
very
that's
good.
And you have a scrolly knob.
The tuning knob. So glad it's there.
Volume knob, scrolly knob, and hard buttons for your temperatures and your defrosters.
Like
all
an airplane,
good.
you have redundancy because you can control the temperature in the touchscreen, but I found it pretty slow to react. But I agree, having the temp buttons here is great, and the buttons at the bottom, which stay up, or sorry, the bottom of the screen remains on climate control with your seats and everything. So I think it's done pretty well. It's a little slow.
It's a little slow, especially when you're starting the car. The first 60 seconds the car is on, it's really slow.
It's booting up.
Yeah.
But the functionality, which it kind of lends itself to the overall car, the functionality is very high.
Yeah. I don't hate it. The biggest problem with this car that the TR helps but doesn't totally fix is that other cars, particularly now that some of those crazy ADMs have come down, other cars are available for the same money or less that are more exciting. For instance, if you don't need the all-wheel drive, the Elantra N is $10,000 less than this and is genuinely more fun to drive.
Yeah.
And more exciting in every way.
And faster on a track,
And faster,
right?
yes.
Yeah.
The GR Corolla, now you can get them in a bunch of places without ADM. And they're basically the same price as this, maybe a little bit more, but not so much that makes a difference. And that's more exciting to drive all the time.
Well, the GR starts at 36, but with I think the premium is 41, which is still less than this car. And I thought that car might be smaller inside because it looks smaller.
Yeah.
It's not. It actually has more overall passenger volume and trunk space. It's very close, but it does have more.
And then you've got your Golf as well, and the GTI, they have said, it hasn't happened yet, but that they're bringing back some knobs. They're getting rid of some of the haptic stuff.
The complaints have worked.
Yes. So the complaints have solved that problem there. So that hasn't happened just yet, but it will be happening. So the bottom line is the value, unless you need the all-wheel drive, which admittedly some people do, Colorado, whatnot, Vermont, true four-season car, but the value's not really there anymore.
As a performance car, it's not. And when these first arrived here, and granted this is way back in the day, the WRX was a breakthrough. It was, oh my God, affordable, turbocharged, all-wheel drive. Holy crap. But now you can get that from so many other competitors. And it's harder to find the areas where this is superior. This all-wheel drive system is symmetrical. The Corolla one's a front bias system. Okay, fair. There's little things here and there, but there's just a lot more competition at this price point. If you go down to the base car, because you know you're going to modify it, maybe, like you get the better brake master cylinder and stuff, but you're going to have to be the person who's putting on suspension, putting on brakes, putting on seats, and then you're back here.
Yeah. All-wheel drive, it adds a lot to the price of this, actually, and it takes away some of the fun for the money. I will say that Subaru has done a pretty good job with the TR. They listened to customers and to journalists, and they made changes that they could make, and it doesn't cost that much more than the regular WRX. However, it's definitely not an STI.
No.
And there are other options that, if you're driving in mostly dry weather, are more fun and faster and more engaging.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that's it. Thanks to Subaru for letting us have a go for a week. We appreciate it. Thanks to you guys for keeping to listen and watch. Make sure you like and subscribe and do all the things that I hate asking you to do. And we'll see you later.
And remember, always fight your tickets. Use code TST10 on the Off the Record app available in the Android and iOS store, or go to offtherecord.com/TST.